Let me tell you, life doesn't hand out crowns. You earn them, and if you want to walk like a king, you've got to think like one. The lion is not the tallest in the jungle, not the fastest, and certainly not the strongest. But it is the leader. Why mentality? The lion leads not because of power, but because of posture. You've got to carry yourself like you're on assignment. Wake up with a reason. Too many people tiptoe through life hoping to land safely at death. That's not lion living, that's sheep thinking, and last time I checked, no one follows a sheep into battle. If you want to be followed, respected, remembered, you've got to decide who you are. Lions don't question that. They don't wait for permission to move. They don't shrink when things get hard, and they certainly don't blame the environment. They own it. People say, Jim, I don't feel motivated. Well, motivation is like a hot shower. It feels great, but it doesn't last. That's why you need discipline. That's lion mentality. The lion doesn't feel like hunting every day, but it does, because survival doesn't ask how you feel, it asks what you're willing to do. And if you're going to lead your own life, you can't be casual about your habits. Casualness creates casualties. Be intentional, be focused, and be fierce about what matters. Now here's the truth. Life is going to test you. It's going to hit you hard, and you can either crawl back and make excuses or stand tall and make decisions. A lion doesn't retreat because the wind blows. It faces it, walks into it, and keeps going. Why? Because it knows who it is. Identity fuels endurance. When you know who you are, quitting isn't an option. It's a contradiction. You've got to protect your time, protect your standards, protect your vision. You don't see a lion hanging out with hyenas. Why? Because the lion knows that association affects destiny. Who you listen to, who you hang with, who you give your time to, that's your environment, and your environment shapes your energy. Choose wisely. So I ask you, what kind of mentality do you carry into your day? Are you living with vision or just visiting potential? Lions don't wait for the alarm clock. They get up because purpose pulls them. And if you don't have something pulling you, something bigger than your feelings or circumstances, you'll stay stuck. This isn't just about toughness. It's about clarity, about commitment, about living with urgency. Lions don't hoard their strength. They use it every day with intention. That's how you lead a life of meaning, not by waiting, but by roaring. So rise up, stand strong and take ground. Be bold, be disciplined, and for goodness sake, think like a lion. Courage over comfort is the quiet decision to rise when everything in you wants to retreat. It's not loud, it's not always seen, and it doesn't always feel heroic, but it is the root of every breakthrough, every new chapter, and every change worth making. It's easy to do what's familiar. It's easy to do what's safe. But the problem is, safety rarely leads to significance. Growth and greatness are always just past your comfort zone, and that's a road only courage can walk. Comfort is a beautiful prison. It doesn't chain you with steel, but with soft routines, predictable days, and the illusion of peace. It tells you tomorrow will be a better time. It convinces you that someday, when the fear is gone, when the conditions are perfect, you'll start. But that someday never comes. The truth is, courage isn't the absence of fear, it's movement despite fear. Courage is waking up with doubt, but showing up anyway. It's knowing that failure might come, but progress demands you show your face. You see, life doesn't reward those who wait until they feel ready. It rewards those who act while they're shaking, who step out while the voice in their head screams not yet. Because readiness is a myth. No one ever feels ready to face the hard thing, but those who act, who step forward, who lean into discomfort, they get stronger. They don't wait to feel brave. They become brave in the doing. Courage is not a trait you're born with. It's a muscle you build by choosing discomfort when comfort calls your name. Comfort says, Stay where it's warm, where it's predictable, where you won't be judged or stretched or hurt. Courage says, move. Comfort says, don't apply, don't speak, don't try. Courage says, try and fail if you must, but don't stand still, because stagnation is the slowest form of self-sabotage. You can be alive, but not living, breathing, but not progressing. When you choose comfort consistently, you trade your potential for a temporary feeling of ease. But when you choose courage, you plant seeds of purpose, even if you feel nothing bloom right away. Choosing courage means you stop waiting for permission. You stop looking around to see who approves, who claps, who agrees. Courage is independent of applause. It's driven by vision, not validation. And when you move without needing confirmation, you become unstoppable. Because the person who doesn't fear discomfort is the one who wins the long game. Comfort might feel good in the moment, but courage builds momentum, and momentum moves mountains. Sometimes courage is loud. It's quitting the job, starting the business, having the conversation. But often courage is quiet. It's staying consistent when no one is watching. It's saying no when it would be easier to say yes. It's showing up again after rejection. It's choosing discipline over ease, faith over doubt, effort over excuses. These decisions don't get celebrated, but they shape your character. And over time, the person who consistently chooses courage builds a life that's worth living, while the one who stays comfortable builds a life they quietly resent. We admire the lion not because it's the strongest animal, but because it refuses to back down. That's courage. Courage doesn't guarantee the outcome, but it demands you show up to the fight. It tells you, this may not be easy, it may not be smooth, but it will be meaningful. And when you live with courage, even your failures become fuel, your losses become lessons, and your pain becomes purpose. The great tragedy isn't defeat, it's never stepping into the arena. It's letting fear write your story because comfort was easier than growth. But when you choose courage, when you step into the uncomfortable, you start to discover parts of yourself that comfort could never reveal. Strength, clarity, confidence, resilience, all these are born in the heat of resistance. No one finds themselves in the easy seasons. You meet the real you in the hard moments, in the stretch, in the silence where you keep going without applause. Courage doesn't need to feel good to be good. And courage doesn't always come with a guarantee, but it always comes with growth. The more you choose it, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, what used to terrify you becomes your new normal, and what used to hold you back becomes your story of how you overcame. When you practice courage over comfort, you train yourself to embrace challenge, and the people who learn to lean into challenge are the ones who rise, lead, and leave something behind that matters. Discipline equals dominion because nothing valuable in life is sustained without order. Dominion is the power to rule, to influence, to rise above, and that doesn't happen by accident. It happens when a person decides that their habits will no longer be guided by emotion, but by decision. Discipline is not a punishment. It is the tool that shapes potential into power. The undisciplined may start fast, they may even have talent, but without consistency, they fall away. The one who practices discipline doesn't just visit excellence, they dwell in it. They don't wait to feel like it, they show up because their word to themselves is worth more than their mood. A person who masters discipline eventually masters results. You cannot control every outcome in life, but you can control your input. You can control your schedule, your routines, your diet, your words, your response, your effort. That's dominion. Dominion isn't just external power, it's internal control. It's the strength to say no when it's hard, to wake up early when your body says sleep, to continue when your mind says quit. That is where real freedom is found. People think freedom means doing what you want when you want, But real freedom is earned by those who do what they must when it's required without waiting for perfect conditions. A man or woman who lacks discipline will always serve those who have it. The disciplined build, lead, influence. The undisciplined drift, complain, and follow. Dominion is a result of choosing structure over sloppiness, consistency over chaos. In every field, business, sports, relationships, health, it is not the one who burns bright for a day who wins, it is the one who endures over time. That endurance is forged in discipline. Discipline allows you to keep your vision alive long after the motivation fades. It sustains momentum when the feeling is gone and the crowd is quiet. The person who owns their discipline eventually owns their future. Discipline trains your mind to obey your higher self instead of your impulses. Every day, your lower nature calls for shortcuts, for indulgence, for excuses, but discipline speaks louder. It doesn't yell. It doesn't argue. It just acts. It shows up again and again and again, and with time, repetition becomes reputation. Who you are isn't determined by what you do occasionally. It's built by what you do consistently. And consistent action, no matter how small, compounded over time, leads to dominion. Because while others chase comfort, the disciplined individual sharpens their edge, quietly gaining ground. Even in the spiritual, the principle remains. Dominion is not given to the lazy, the distracted, the passive. It is reserved for those who steward what they've been given with excellence. A person may be gifted, but without discipline, they bury their talents in the soil of procrastination. They waste opportunity because they lack the strength to harness it. Talent may open the door, but discipline keeps you in the room. It gives you authority, not just over others, but over yourself. And self-mastery is the highest form of leadership. Every great breakthrough is preceded by preparation, and preparation requires discipline. You don't build strength when the spotlight is on. You build it in the shadows when no one is watching. The world sees the fruit, but discipline is the root. It's the hours of study no one sees, the early mornings no one notices, the sacrifices that feel thankless, but all of it matters, all of it adds up, all of it contributes to dominion over your craft, your calling, your capacity. People underestimate how much ground they can take by simply showing up with discipline day after day. It's not glamorous, but it's powerful. One more rep, one more page, one more hour. While others are distracted, the disciplined are focused. While others are making excuses, the disciplined are executing. This is how empires are built, brick by brick, choice by choice, habit by habit. And eventually, the compound interest of consistency shows up in undeniable ways. Discipline makes you durable, and durability leads to dominion. Discipline also protects your priorities. It helps you say yes to the right things by saying no to the wrong ones. It's not about restriction, it's about alignment. It's about knowing where you're going and refusing to be pulled in every direction. A person with discipline doesn't need to chase trends. They build with timeless principles. They aren't tossed by every wave. They plant their feet. That's how you take dominion over time, over energy, over focus. You stop leaking your power on things that don't matter. In a world that glorifies hustle but neglects structure, discipline is the secret weapon. It doesn't shine in a highlight reel, but it shows up in results. The best performers, the best leaders, the strongest voices. What separates them isn't talent, it's work ethic. It's the decision to grind on the days when there's no applause. Discipline is what keeps you climbing when others plateau, and when adversity comes, and it always will, the disciplined aren't shaken. They're ready because they've trained for the moment. They've built a system that can withstand storms. Discipline is also contagious. When a person lives with order, with excellence, with focus, it inspires others to do the same. Dominion isn't selfish, it lifts others. A disciplined parent raises disciplined children. A disciplined leader sets a culture. A disciplined student becomes a teacher. It's not about perfection, it's about direction. It's about owning your decisions so you can own your destiny. The truth is, everyone pays a price. You either pay the price of discipline now or the price of regret later. One leads to dominion, the other to disappointment, and regret always costs more. So the wise choose structure now so they can enjoy freedom later. They understand that dominion isn't random, it's earned. It's fought for in the small, daily battles, and it's kept by continuing long after others would have quit. Discipline sharpens your vision, it gives clarity. It removes the noise and reveals what truly matters. A person who walks in discipline doesn't waste time. They redeem it. They don't wander aimlessly. They move with precision. Every step has purpose. Every action reflects values. And in time, they don't just influence situations. They dominate them, not with arrogance, but with authority earned through sacrifice, repetition, and mastery. When discipline becomes your foundation, dominion becomes your lifestyle. You no longer beg for results. You expect them, not because you're entitled, but because you've done the work. You've built the habits. You've paid the price. And now you lead, not just in words, but by example. Because discipline equals dominion, and the one who masters themselves becomes qualified to master anything else.